Have you ever wondered why you always feel exhausted even though you haven't lost to anyone? If you're trying harder every single day, but inside you still feeling easy. If you're constantly fighting with work, with other people, with yourself, yet you don't feel any stronger, any videos for you. Today, we're not talking about victories out there. We're talking about victory within. Truthful and profound quotes by Sun Tzu, analyzed through the lens of Stoic philosophy. It'll walk with you through each group ideas, not the one who fights the most, why know when to stop is sometimes your strength, and why mastering yourself is always harder than mastering the world. Most importantly, after each group of quotes you can apply immediately in new life. Need to stay with me, because by the end of this video, you may not change the world, but you will no longer let the world hurt you so easily. Theory is a truth that is very hard to accept. We have grown used to equating strength with confrontation. Go until you're right. Prove yourself at all costs. Defeat others to feel valuable. But Stoic philosophy and the thinking of Sun Tzu goes in the completely opposite direction. They don't ask, how do I win? They ask, is this battle even worth fighting? Let's begin with the most foundational quote. The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. If this is your first time hearing it, you might think it's purely a military tactic. But if you look deeper, this is a philosophy of life. The weak need to fight to prove themselves. The strong are not. In modern life, the enemy is rarely the person standing in front of you. It is an inflammatory email, a subtle insult, an argument you already know will lead nowhere. So what is the supreme victory? It is not allowing other people's emotions to control your behavior. The Stoics call this mastering what is within your control. The greatest victory is that which requires no battle. Here are days when you don't lose your temper, and that is a victory. You don't react, and that is a victory. You walk away in silence, and that is a great victory. But because it's not loud, no one applauds, no one acknowledges it, we tend to dismiss it. Stoicism teaches that the value of an action is not in what others see, but in whether you preserve your inner dignity. If you have to shout to prove you're right, perhaps you already lost from the start. The skillful leader subdues the enemy's troops without any fighting. A good leader is not someone who wins every argument. They are someone who does not let conflict escalate, does not let ego ruin the objective, does not turn disagreement into personal warfare. The same applies in personal life. A mature person doesn't need to win every sentence. They win by keeping the atmosphere non-toxic. The Stoics call this the strength of calm reason. Not everyone who is silent is weak. Many people are silent because they see further. The wise warrior avoids the battle. This line makes many people uncomfortable, because it touches a deep fear. If I avoid it, does that mean I'm a coward? The Stoic answer is very clear. Avoidance is not because of fear. Avoidance is because you understand the value of mental energy. Every battle consumes focus, emotion, time, and peace of mind. A wise person's ought waste these on battles that create no lasting value. If you find yourself often irritated, often needing to prove something, often exhausted after every argument, maybe you're not weak. You're not weak. Too many unnecessary battles. And this is where understanding turns into practice. Exercise 1. The through question battle filter before reacting. Ask yourself, 1. Is this within my control? 2. Will this matter 5 years from now? 3. Will staying silent right now help me preserve my dignity? If 2 out of 3 answers are no, don't fight. Exercise 2. The quiet victorized journal every evening. Writes down, one time you did reek, one time you chose to walk away, one time you stay calm. After 7 days, you will realize you are far stronger than you think. Exercise theory, practicing winning without proving in the next 24 hours. Don't explain when it's unnecessary, don't justify yourself when you are not accused, don't argue with people who don't want to understand. This is not being up. This is self-mastery. Here is a painful paradox. We spend our entire lives reading other people, Yet we are deeply unclear about ourselves. We know who annoys us. We know who makes us angry. But we really ask, why am I so easily triggered like this? And this is where Sun Tzu's thinking meets Stoic philosophy at a cold but honest point. You cannot conquer the world if you do not understand your inner life. If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. This line is often misunderstood. People think knowing yourself means knowing what you're good at, knowing where you are strong, but Stoicism goes deeper. Knowing your recurring weaknesses, knowing when you're easily angered, knowing when your ego takes control. If you don't know what makes you lose your balance, you will always be at a disadvantage. Not because others are strong, but because they press the right button inside you. He who conquers himself is the mightiest warrior. Everyone nods when they hear this, but very few people lie by it. Conquering yourself is not out waking up earlier than others, being more disciplined than others. It is about not letting anger lead the way, not letting fear decide for you, not letting temporary emotions destroy long-term things. The Stoic, all this autokia and our self-sufficiency. You may lose an argument, but if you keep yourself, you are never a loser. To know your enemy, you must become your enemy. This line is sharp. It doesn't tell you to become evil. It forces you to look directly at the parts of yourself you don't want to admit. The part that feels envy, the part that compares itself to others, the part that craves recognition, the part that feels wanted. When inner Stoicism doesn't ask you to erase these parts, it asks you to recognize them. Because what you cannot recognize will quietly control you. One may know how to conquer without being able to do it. This is a painfully accurate line. We know we should stay calm, know we should let go, know we should focus on what matters, but when the situation happens, we react the same old way. Why? Because understanding with the mind is not the same as mastery of the inner world. Stoicism emphasizes this. True wisdom is proven in action, not in thought. If you feel that you know a lot, you read a lot, you understand very clearly, yet life is still messy, then the problem is not a lack of knowledge, but that you haven't turned deeply known, firmly and know inward. And now, it's time to practice. Exercise 1. Emotional trigger mapping for 3 days. Whenever you feel uncomfortable, write down who was involved. What was said? What was your first emotion? How did you react? After 3 days, you'll see a very clear pattern. Exercise 2. The 5-second pause. Whenever you're about to react, pause for 5 seconds. Take a deep breath. Ask yourself, is this emotion a reason? Just these 5 seconds and you've already begun to conquer yourself. Exercise 3. Ego confrontation journal every evening. Why? What hurt me today? What does this say about my inner fear? No judgment, just observation. That is Stoicism. Here is an invisible pressure weighing on many of us to react quickly, to decide early, to do something right away, way away. But Stoicism says the opposite. And Sun Tzu's thinking touched this modern anxiety thousands of years ago. Being slow is not weakness. Being fast is not strength. Strength is knowing when to act and when to wait. He will win who knows when to fight and when not to fight. Many mistakes in life don't come from making the wrong decision, but from making a decision too early. We speak before we understand. We act while emotions are still hot. We choose while the mind is still clouded. Stoicism calls this acting from a reactive state. Knowing not to fight right now is also a form of wisdom. Victorious warriors win first and then go to war, while defeated warriors go to war first and then seek to win. Pause for a moment with this line. What does winning before going to war mean in real life? It means you've prepared mentally, you understand the price you may have to pay, you've accepted every possible outcome. Those who feel often rush into action to release emotion and only afterward hope things work out. Stoicism reminds us, don't use action as a way to treat anxiety. Ponder and deliberate before you make a move. In a world that worships speed, stopping to think has become a rebellious act. Yet this is the core of Stoicism. Don't decide when you're exhausted, don't reply when you're angry, don't promise when you're overly excited. Slowness is not avoidance. Slowness allows wisdom to catch up with emotion. Energy may be likened to the bending of a crossbow, decision to the releasing of a trigger. This is a beautiful image. A crossbow doesn't fire the moment the string is touched. It is run back, held, and charged with force. Shoot too early a weak impact. Hold long enough one decisive arrow. Stoicism teaches us to build inner strength, train the ability to wait and act only when the mind is calm. If you're feeling restless, afraid of being left behind, worried that not acting immediately means missing out, remember this: not every opportunity needs to be taken, but every decision needs the right timing. Exercise on the no decisions emotional highs rule for 7 days. Don't decide when you're angry. Don't reply to important message when you're sad. Don't make promises when you're overly happy. Delayed tours are never possible. Exercise 2. Decision journal for every important decision. Write down your emotional state at the time, the real reason you wanted to do it, whether you could wait longer. After 1 week, you'll clearly see your decision quality improve. Exercise theory, practicing intentional slowness each day. Choose one task 2. The more slowly think true, more carefully not reach to immediately. This is how you draw back the inner crossbow. If you've made it this far, you've begun to understand something crucial. Strength doesn't lie in speed, but in mastery of timing. And in Group IV, we'll go even deeper: strategy, deception, and the power of the mind. We live in an era where everyone wants to express, to be seen, to prove who they are. But Stoicism and Sun Tzu's thinking choose a completely different path. Don't display your strength. Don't reveal all your intentions. Don't let others read you too easily. Because what is most visible is often the easiest to attack. All warfare is based on deception. Many people react instantly to this. Isn't that just dishonesty? No. Stoicism doesn't teach you to deceive others. It teaches you not to naively expose your entire inner world in a world where not everyone has good intentions. Not every question needs an answer. Not every curiosity deserves an explanation. Keeping inner space for yourself is wisdom, not manipulation. Ever weak when you are strong, and strong when you are weak. This is not about being fake. It's about strategic self-presentation. When you boast, you create pressure for yourself, you attract envy, you turn yourself into a target. Stoicism values simplicity and restraint. Do more, say less, be strong without showing off new worth, without needing to prove it. Truly confident people don't need constant validation. Let your plans be dark and impenetrable as night, and when you move, fall like a thunderbolt. This line is for the mature. Don't share too early. Don't announce while you're still experimenting. Don't speak before things are fully formed. Because plans revealed too early are easily disrupted. Motivation shared too early are easily drained. Stoicism tosses focusing on what you can control. When you act, let results speak for you. Do not interfere with an enemy who is in the process of destroying himself. This is a cold line, but it reflects a real truth in life. Some people don't need you to defeat them. They destroy themselves through ego, impulsiveness, and lack of control. Stoicism teaches, not every battle needs your involvement, not every mistake of others needs your correction. Intervening too much topples you into problems that aren't yours. If you constantly say everything you think, reveal every plan, read to every provocation, you're not being authentic, you are living with strategy. Living wisely is not living dishonestly. It's knowing what to keep for yourself. Exercise on selective speak for 7 days. Don't share long-term plans. Don't explain unless necessary. Don't read too minor provocations. Observe how much lighter your mind feels. Exercise 2. True motive journal. Whenever you want to share something, ask, why am I saying this? To be validated. Or to create value. If the answer is to prove something, stop. Exercise 3. Silent action. Choose one personal goal. Don't announce it, don't tell anyone, just work on it quietly and consistently. After 30 days, the result will be the strongest answer. If you're still here, you step into the strategic mindset of those who go far. And in Group V, the final group, we'll talk about something crucial: conflict, erosion, and why not every battle is worth winning. Here is a truth that becomes harder to accept as we grow older. Not everything you can win is worth winning. Because the cost of victory is sometimes inner depletion. At this deepest level, Sun Tzu's thinking meets Stoic philosophy at a cobalt honest point. The greatest danger is not losing. It's wearing yourself down in meaningless battles. Here is no instance of a nation benefiting from prolonged warfare. In war, a prolonged battle always leaves destruction. In life, it's the same. A long-term tense relationship. A job that drains you year after year. An endless inner conflict. Here is no real victory there. Only gradual loss. Stoicism teaches us to look at long-term costs, not just short-term outcomes. Even the finest work plumbed into salt water will eventually rust. It's not the big blow that breaks us. It's the small things, repeated daily. Chronic stress, constant low-grade anxiety, toxic environments. You may be strong. You might be resilient. But if you place yourself in the wrong environment, you will wear down, not because you're weak, but because you stay too long where you don't belong. Stoicism calls this protecting your inner reserves. In the midst of chaos, there is also opportunity. This is a hopeful line. Chaos is not a time to panic. Chaos is when the reckless make mistakes, the impatient reveal weaknesses, the Stoic instead still observes, keeps the mind steady. Opportunity doesn't belong to the fasted. It belongs to the calmest. Opportunities multiply as they are seized. But don't misunderstand this. Stoicism does not take passivity. It teases, wait for the right moment, but when it comes, act decisively. Opportunity doesn't grow through wishful thinking. It grows when you're clear enough to recognize it and brave enough to take it. If there is one thing you should take from this video, it is this: not every battle deserves your entry. Not every victory makes you stronger. True strength is knowing when to stop, knowing when to walk away, knowing when to protect yourself. That is not giving up. That is maturity. Exercise 1. Wear entire inventory. Write down what in your life is draining you long term. What value does it give you? What does it take away from you? If it takes more than it gives, consider stepping back. Exercise 2. Clearing the battlefield for foresight. Exposure the toxic environments. Reduce unnecessary arguments. Reduce expectations of people who don't change. Observe how quickly your energy returns. Exercise 3. Practicing the greatest victory each day. Ask, where can I maintain calm today? Just once a day is enough. That alone is already a great victory. You don't need to be invincible. You just need to stop destroying yourself. And if you can do that, you've already won. If you've stayed with me until the end, I believe this wasn't just entertainment for you. You're looking for a different way of living. Less noise, less proving, but more inner stability. These 20 quotes are not meant to turn you into someone who always wins. They are meant to help you stop losing to yourself every day. Losing to anger, losing to ego, losing to unnecessary battles. If there's one thing you take with you after this video, let it be this: you don't need to win everything. You only need to keep yourself. If this video made you pause and think even once, hit like, not for me, but as a quiet commitment to yourself. If you want to continue strengthening your inner life, to understand Stoicism more deeply, and to learn how to lie strong yet calm, if you found this video meaningful, please consider subscribing. We'll have many more conversations like this. And remember, the most important battle always happens in silence. Thank you for visiting the Stoic Quotes channel. I hope to see you again next time. Wishing you a peaceful and fulfilling life.